It's Kayla and I'm back finally with another video. I've missed you guys. If you've been following me, you probably know that I'm in graduate school, which keeps me very busy and doesn't leave me a lot of time to make videos. But the semester just ended and I just have one summer class and 250 hours left of my internship. And that's all. And then I will have my master's degree in August, which is really exciting. So I have about 2 months until my summer class starts, and so I'm hoping to use that time to make more videos and get back to putting out content regularly. I also want to say that I hope you guys are staying safe and well, both physically and mentally during this crazy time of the coronavirus. I hope when people watch this video back like a year from now, it'll just be a distant memory and people will be like, oh, coronavirus, what a throwback. One can only hope. So anyways, in today's video, I wanted to make it kind of like a little story time video and tell you guys a couple of stories of unsafe situations that I've been in because I was hiding my vision impairment. So for those of you who may be new to my channel, I know I may seem very open about being legally blind, but I used to hide it at all costs. And I made a video about it a while back about why I hid it and how and all of that good stuff. So I will link that video. But yeah, I was so embarrassed about it that I would hide it. I wouldn't tell anyone, even if it put me in dangerous or unsafe situations. I will say though that kind of my whole life is an unsafe situation, just not being able to see my surroundings or just never knowing when I'm gonna trip over something or run into something. There are obstacles lurking around every corner, especially since the first 18 years of my life, I refused to use a cane. And then after that, I only used a cane in very specific situations, definitely not all the time. And you never know when there is going to be something there to run into or to fall over. And there have been plenty of times where I have come very close to becoming seriously injured, and thankfully I have never become seriously injured. Knock on wood. But I just wanted to share with you guys a few stories of situations that really stick out to me that were very unsafe for me to be in, being visually impaired, and the fact that I was hiding my vision impairment just made it even more unsafe. So I'm just going to go through these stories chronologically, and I will remind you guys that I have always been legally blind my entire life, even though my vision when I was younger was a little bit better and not quite as bad as it is now. I was still legally blind. So the first story is when I was 12 years old. I rode the school bus home from school and I had made friends with a girl on the bus who lived a couple of streets over from me. So one day I got off the bus at her house so we could hang out. I remember showing her my Zynga page, which just shows you how old I am, because before Facebook, there was MySpace, and before MySpace, there was Zynga, which was popular when I was 12. So I hung out at her house for a couple of hours, and then it was about time for me to go home, and it was dusk, so it was turning pretty dark. And I have always been night blind, like completely 100% can't see anything in the dark. And so this girl asked me if I wanted her to walk with me to my house, and I said yes, because obviously I can't see in the dark. She didn't know that. She had no idea that I had a vision impairment. And also we hadn't lived in that house for very long. We were very new to the area. And so I didn't know the neighborhood very well. I didn't know really where her house was in relation to my house because I didn't walk there. I got off the bus at her house. So I really had no idea how to get home or where my house was. So she walked me halfway to my house and then said, okay, we're halfway. You got it from here. I'm gonna go back home. And I was like, yeah, sure, because I didn't want to tell her that I couldn't see. And I felt bad for her to have walked me all the way to my house and then had to walk all the way back to her house in the dark. I don't know. I'm too compassionate even for my own detriment. So she leaves me and I don't know where I am. I don't know where my house is. I don't know how to get there. It's dark. I can't see. I don't have a cell phone because 15 years ago, not every 12-year-old had a cell phone, and I was pretty scared. Somehow I managed to find my way home. I honestly do not know how I did that, how I managed to find my way home without getting severely lost or injured or kidnapped, but I did make it home, and I'm very thankful for that because this situation could have gone very badly. So I'm thankful that it didn't, but it was a very unsafe situation for me to be in. Okay, so the next story comes when I was 16. There is this skate park / concert venue that I used to go to all the time as a teenager with my sister and my 2 cousins. We would go there and see all of our little scene kid bands because I was a scene kid in high school. And we used to go there all the time. The concerts were always super cheap, like $13 a ticket. And those were just some of the best memories that I have from high school is going there. But anyways, there was one concert that we all really wanted to go to with these bands that we really liked. So tell me in the comments below if you know these bands or if you listened to them when you were in high school. It was A Rocket to the Moon, 303, Family Force 5, and The Maine. And the concert was sold out before we got a chance to get tickets, and my sister had met someone who had a ticket and couldn't go, and they sold their ticket to her, and then she ended up not being able to go, and she gave her ticket to me. So I have one ticket to this concert that I want to go to very badly, so I go to it by myself. My cousin had a friend that was going to the concert who I kind of knew, not very well, but I knew her just from her being at my cousin's birthday parties growing up. And so I was going to meet up with her at the concert. And I don't even know if she knew that I couldn't see or not. So my mom dropped me off, and then I'm calling this girl to meet up with her, and she's not answering her phone. So I'm not quite sure what to do. But I go in the building because luckily, since I had been to this place so many times, I was somewhat familiar with the layout of it. Thank goodness, because if not, I probably wouldn't have survived this situation. Or, I mean, honestly, I would not have gone there to meet up with a relative stranger if I wasn't familiar with the place. So I go in, I go through security, get my wristband, and then the concert venue part, the stage was downstairs. So I had to find the stairs, which, even though I was familiar with the place, I was usually would hold on to someone's arm. So it's not like I really knew my way around, and it was pretty dark in there. And mind you, at 16, I did not use a cane, but I somehow managed to find the stairs and make my way down them. And I remember getting to the bottom of the stairs and just being like, thank you, God. I don't know how I've made it this far by myself in here, but just thank you. And I'm still calling this girl like every couple of minutes. She's still not answering her phone. My sister wanted me to get her a t-shirt from one of the merch booths. So I went over there and she, wanted them described to her, which of course I can't do. And so I just handed my phone to the guy selling the t-shirts, and she asked him to describe the shirts to her so she could pick one out. And I'm sure he was very confused because, of course, I didn't tell him it was because I couldn't see. So I got us both a shirt, and then I went in to the venue part where the stage was, and it's standing room only, so it's just people just crammed in there up against each other. It's very normal in there for people to bump into each other or just be rubbing up against each other. So I was just kind of awkwardly just trying to find my way, trying to find a spot by the stage to stand there and watch the show. And I didn't feel that awkward because, like I said, everyone just runs into everyone. So like there wasn't really anything odd about me doing it. So I stood there and watched almost the entire concert by myself. I finally found the girl towards the very end. Well, I guess she found me towards the very end. So I essentially attended this entire concert all by myself. And when it was over, I remember we went outside and we were hanging out outside for a little bit. And one of the guys from the bands was out there. And so I went up to him and asked if he would take a picture with me. And I turn around and I hand my camera out and I'm like, "Hey, Emily, will you take a picture of us?" Crickets. And I say it again. I'm like, "Emily, will you take our picture?" Crickets. She's gone. She's not there. I lost her again. Don't know where she was. And it was really embarrassing because I'm just talking to no one. And the guy from the band just stopped these random people. And he was like, "Hey, will you guys take our picture?" And he sounded annoyed and it was embarrassing. And yeah, so I had lost her again. Soon after that, my mom came to pick me up. And so I had survived. So I honestly don't really know how I survived that situation. I think back on this and I'm just like, how did I do that? How did I go to a concert by myself? No cane, no help, no nothing. I didn't ask anyone for help or let anyone know that I couldn't see. And I mean, it was okay, but it could have not been. Like I could have fallen down those stairs or not have been able to find my way around, or what if I had to go to the bathroom or something? Just not very safe for a 16-year-old blind girl to go to a concert alone and also not be willing to ask for any help if she needed it. But I guess that just shows you how badly I wanted to see these bands. So my next story was when I was 17. I had this guy friend that I hung out with a lot, but he didn't know that I couldn't see, of course. And he knew that I couldn't drive and that I didn't have a license. I usually told people it was because my parents wouldn't buy me a car. That was my excuse. And so one time he forced me to drive his car. He was like, "Oh, I can't believe you're 17 and you can't drive." And he literally picked me up, put me in the driver's seat and held my hands on the steering wheel and made me drive his car. Just popping in here to clarify that this was in an empty parking lot, not on the road. Now, if that's not unsafe enough, this isn't even the story that I was going to tell. So I was with this guy, he was driving, I was in the passenger seat, and then his friend was in the back seat. And we're driving down the road and his friend says something, does something, I don't remember. And so he turns to me and he's like, "Kayla, steer the car. I need to beat him up." And so he turns around and he's like play fighting his friend in the back seat and told me to steer the car. And I just kind of froze. I was like, is he serious? What do I do? What do I say? It was such a like high pressure situation because he didn't know I couldn't see. I didn't know how to tell him that quickly. And it's like my brain was searching for the words and nothing was coming out. So it was really only like a couple of seconds. And then he turns back around and he's like, "Oh my gosh, we almost just hit a mailbox. What is wrong with you? You were supposed to be steering." And I was just kind of like, So extremely unsafe a situation. We almost hit a mailbox. We could have hit that mailbox. We could have hit something else. We could hit another car. Like that could have gone very badly. But it's like 25% my fault because he didn't know I couldn't see and I didn't say anything. And then, but like 75% his fault because who does that? Who just abandons the steering wheel and play fights with their friend in the back seat? That's why I think that 16-year-old boys probably shouldn't drive cars. Just my opinion. So my last story is when I was 21 and a senior in college, and it was the night of homecoming, and I was in a sorority in college, and there was a fraternity having a party that night. It was AGR, it's like the ag fraternity. So they had a fraternity house and then this like big field. And so they were having a party out in their big field with like a bonfire and a band, and it was a toga party. So if you've seen that on movies or something and wonder if people actually have toga parties in real life, they do. So I was going to the party with one of my best friends at the time, and then a guy friend of mine, let's call him John, because that's his name. And John was in a different fraternity. So we were getting ready for the party at John's fraternity house, you know, trying to make our togas look all cute, you know, trying to make wearing a bedsheet look cute. And since I was wearing a bedsheet, I didn't have any pockets to put my phone or anything. So I left my phone and my purse and all of my stuff in John's room. And they had pledges, so like guys who were pledging the fraternity were sober drivers for that night. So a pledge drove us to the party in John's car. So we were at the party for a little while. I was supposed to be meeting up with my other best friend, and I couldn't find her because I can't see, and because I didn't have my phone and I couldn't call her. So we were at the party for a while, and then me and my friend and John got kind of cold, and so we walked back to John's car and sat in his car for a little bit. And then the pledge came over and he was like, "Hey, Kelly called me. She's been looking for you." And I'm like, "Oh, I know. I've been trying to find her. I don't have my phone. Can you tell her to like pick a specific spot for us to meet so I can go meet up with her?" So then I was kind of like, "Hey guys, let's go back to the party." And they were like, "No, we're talking and we just want to sit here and talk." So I'm like, okay. So I go back to the party with the pledge to try and find Kelly, and we still can't find her. So we walk back to the car and it's gone. They left me. They left me at a fraternity party in a field at night. I'm blind. I'm drunk. I was 21 and in college. I was allowed to do that. I have no phone and wearing a bedsheet. So anyways, I'm kind of freaking out because I'm just here with this pledge who I barely know. And so we go back to the party, and next thing I know, the pledge is gone. And I'm literally alone, completely by myself. And I had no idea what to do. I'm sure I knew other people at the party, but since, you know, I can't see, I couldn't just scan the crowd to try and find somebody that I knew. I was literally stranded in pretty concerning circumstances. So finally, after just standing there by myself for what felt like forever, freaking out, another guy from John's fraternity came up to me like just to say hi. And I was kind of like, "Oh my gosh, please help me. I've been stranded here. Please do not leave my side." And I literally like clung on to his arm so he could not leave me. He didn't know that I couldn't see. He probably thought I was just some random drunk, clingy girl. So eventually, after calling a few people, he found someone who was sober to come and pick us up and take us back to their fraternity house so I could get my stuff. So another unsafe situation that was very scary, but turned out okay in the end, but it could have gone badly. And this is an unsafe situation for anyone. Like, you should never leave your drunk friend alone at a fraternity party with no phone under any circumstances, but especially if she's blind. And I guess this was just more unsafe in general, not necessarily because I was hiding my vision impairment, because my friend and John, who left me, both knew that I was blind and they left me anyway. So yeah, I guess the moral of this story is always have your phone and go places with trustworthy people. So those are my stories of unsafe situations that I have been in because I was hiding my vision impairment or just because I was visually impaired. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope they didn't scare you too much, Dad. I probably gave my dad a heart attack telling these stories. You know, I get people hiding their vision impairment. I've been there, obviously. And, you know, some people think that hiding it makes you safer because it makes you not seem vulnerable or less of an easy target. And I totally get that. But there are some situations where hiding your vision impairment makes it more unsafe because people don't know that you can't see, or you're too embarrassed to ask for help. So don't be like me and hide your vision impairment so much so that you put yourself in unsafe situations. So that's about it. I hope you guys liked this video. Let me know down in the comments below if you've ever been in any unsafe situations because of your vision impairment or because you were hiding it or anything like that. Share your stories with me in the comments below. And I hope to see you guys very soon in another video. So I will see y'all next time.